After 10 years and 5 seasons, Stranger Things' last season is pulling everything together, and it's no surprise that the latest batch of episodes is packed with small details even eagle-eyed fans might miss. Did you catch all these nods? We hope you've had your fill of 80s references in these 10 years of Stranger Things. On the way out, how about you enjoy a couple cuts from the decade that followed? Specifically, the scene in the hospital laundry room in episode 6 is a pretty clear tribute, you could even say reconstruction, of a similar scene from that titan of 90s blockbusters, Jurassic Park. The room is almost the exact same layout in both scenes, with long, low rows providing the only hiding spots, which the monsters use to hop onto or poke their heads through in their hunt for the children. Even the Demogorgons got the memo. Instead of rapidly tearing the place apart like they'd just been doing in the chase through the hallways, they dutifully slow down and act more like velociraptors, just to help sell the tension. Good demo doggy, who's a good demo doggy, who's a good demo doggy? It's nice and all, but that's where the similarities end. In Jurassic Park, the kids outsmart the raptors and escape by the skin of their teeth. In Stranger Things, the Demogorgons get blown up by a convent Karen-placed oxygen tank in a dryer, which we won't get too much into, but that's not exactly how a tank of oxygen works. Oh, and guys, come on! We know Max needs it, but still, maybe turn off the boombox just for a minute. It is really hard to come up with anything quite like the situation with Stranger Things, the show and its companion play, Stranger Things: The First Shadow. Here we have a gargantuan pop culture property, 5 seasons of TV released over 10-odd years on Netflix. It is an international phenomenon known all around the world. And over in this corner, for a select few lucky people who happen to be close to London's West End or New York's Broadway, we have a big-budget play. Importantly, the show isn't a retelling or reimagining of the show. No, it's an in-canon prequel, as in the TV show references the events of the play. All that said, if you, like most people, have not seen the play, you probably had a hard time understanding what was going on in a few scenes of Volume 2, starting with the briefcase in the mineshaft. In the play, that case contains technology that transports young Henry to Dimension X, where he has his first run-in with the Mind Flayer and gets his psychic powers. The show is happy enough to simply tease that something's up with that briefcase, without getting into any specifics whatsoever. Another element that the stage play added is the fact that Henry went to school with, well, just about every adult in Hawkins. Granted, this detail came in Volume 1, but if you pause on the shot of the flyer for the play, you can see more familiar names in addition to Henry's: Ted Wheeler, Karen maiden-name Childress, Hopper, and Alan Munson, who grows up to be Eddie's father. You may not have noticed this, but something historic happened in Season 5. Mike and Nancy finally did something together. What? We get it, siblings. Most of the time you can take them or leave them. You're not always going to want to spend time with your little bro, even if he is helping you save the world, and vice versa. And as far as Mike and Nancy have been concerned throughout most of the show's run, they might as well be in different shows entirely. Their subplots rarely converge until the finale of any given season. And even then, they're mostly just hanging out, sadly, saying goodbye to some mutual friend. Beyond just plots, mixing different characters together for different adventures is a solid way to build up characterization. Look at any ensemble sitcom. Different episodes usually have different characters pair off, which lets you get to know everyone a little better from how they behave in different situations. Well, even though Mike and Nancy only rarely got that opportunity to grow together, it was nice to see them rubbing elbows together at last. Stranger Things is in no danger of going down in history as the Mike and Nancy show, but at least they got something. It almost comes across as a throwaway line, but episode 6 may have dropped a huge hint about what will happen in the finale. Let's roll the tape.
How do you think the tunnels came to be, William?
That's right, the whole time he was still under Vecna's control in the early seasons, he was mentally shoveling dirt with a purpose in his sleep, putting together all those tunnels that have come in handy for the heroes and villains throughout the show. So why is that important? Well, the takeaway is that Will should be intimately familiar with the entire tunnel system. They're heading into Vecna's turf now, and Big Bad Henry doesn't play fair. Will he pop out that knowledge at a critical moment to save everyone? Will he mentally guide one of our heroes to their target? Will he use his tunneling know-how to track down Vecna when all else has failed? Maybe none of those outcomes will come to pass, but we're just saying that line wasn't thrown in for no reason. Time is a major driving force in Stranger Things, and that's become even more apparent here in these latter seasons. As Season 5, Volume 2 ramped up to its finale, you might have noticed one bit of on-screen text that shows a very important anniversary has arrived, November 6th. In 1983, that's the night that kicked off every single thing that's happened since Season 1, Episode 1. It's the night Will disappeared, and it's also the date that the Upside Down, or wormhole as we know now, has been stuck in ever since. It's popped up periodically in other places throughout the show too. November 6th is a date Joyce Byers' school play premiered in 1959, which turned out to be a bad night for Henry. What does it mean? Honestly, we're still waiting to find out, but we do know it's important to Vecna, and now that we know he's been pulling the strings since the beginning, it can't be a coincidence that he picked that specific date in 1983 to kick the first stone that caused the avalanche. And now at the end, we're back at that same date as everything is rolling to a conclusion.
One last time.
We're getting mixed signals about who's really on top. Is the Mind Flayer really Vecna's angry little pet, or is Vecna actually afraid of the big monster? All the clues we're seeing are pointing to the latter option. See, when Max reappeared and revealed that Henry wouldn't go into the cave system, her hypothesis is that he's afraid of the place because something traumatic in his past took place there.
Except there's nothing in here that is even remotely scary, so maybe not.
Exhibit number 2 in this quandary is something we've already mentioned. The mine shaft where little Scout Henry killed that guy and got transported to Dimension X and met the Mind Flayer. So since the cave is the entry to that memory zone, and if he is afraid of the old MF, it makes sense that he wouldn't want to go anywhere near it. But Season 5, Volume 2 also dropped an incredibly subtle Exhibit 3 that has us convinced the Mind Flayer is the top dog. When Holly escapes from her tentacle cocoon, she exhales a cloud of smoke. Exactly what Will did in Season 2 when the Mind Flayer left his body. So there's still something going on with the Mind Flayer. How this dynamic plays out in the finale remains to be seen, but we'd bet that Vecna has more to worry about than some kids from Hawkins. Not every hidden detail in this season of Stranger Things is a secret reveal about the plot. In an interview with Us Weekly, the show's costume designer, Amy Parrish, opened up a little about designing Max's clothes. Specifically her clothes while she's living in the cave. Since Henry's memories don't exactly come complete with a functional TJ Maxx, the idea was that she's had to scavenge her outfit from the various memories she wanders through when she's trying to escape. For example, the boots she's wearing throughout Volume 2 are none other than young Joyce Byers' boots from the memory in the school. Paris revealed an even deeper cut by pointing out that the patches Max has been using to repair her jeans came from fabric that has been seen in the show in Henry's closet. It's the kind of detail that almost has to be pointed out to you to catch, but once you do see it, it's impossible to unsee. Throughout the show's 5 seasons, the Duffer Brothers have referenced untold numbers of films and shows, but they also occasionally pull from real life for inspiration. In Episode 6, when Holly's using the telescope as a map to find their way out, she gets to the right place in the Nevada desert, points it at the cave, and says,
And marks the spot.
You may not know the story, but in 2014, a YouTuber named Kenny Veach went missing in the Nevada wilderness while trying to locate what he's described in a previous video as a cave shaped like a perfect capital M, that he said had a strange vibrational energy. He went out for his last hike in November 2014, and in the ensuing search, authorities found his cell phone next to a vertical abandoned mine shaft. We're not sure if the Duffer Brothers have ever confirmed that morbid real-life mystery as the inspiration for Max's cave, the Nevada setting, and the mine shaft, but there are just too many overlapping coincidences to rule it out completely. Okay, this may be nothing, but it may be something. Hear us out. After Will starts showing his Jedi powers, the dialogue goes to great pains to clarify that, in D&D terms, he's a sorcerer.
He's a sorcerer! A real-life, honest-to-God sorcerer!
That's sorcerer with an S, not to be mistaken for a wizard.
You're like Will the Wise, but for real!
Not really.
He's more like a sorcerer than a wizard.
It just keeps coming up in the batch of episodes that dropped on December 25th, and always with that distinction.
A real-life wizard.
A sorcerer, actually. His powers are
Innate. Yes, thank you.
What does that matter?
It matters.
That could just be the writers trying to stay accurate to Dungeons & Dragons, except for the fact that, as plenty of people online have pointed out, sorcerers weren't a distinct class in the game until years after the show takes place. It seems weird that they'd be so adamant about one distinction while ignoring an obvious anachronism. So here's our theory. None of that matters. What does matter is that, like the character says, wizards learn their powers, while sorcerers are born with them. That would make Will one of a kind in the Stranger Things world. Eleven and the others were created with Henry's blood. Henry himself got his powers from the Mind Flayer as a child. It all feels poised to set Will up as a major player in the endgame against maybe not just Vecna, but the Mind Flayer itself.